Bret Hart joining us here in BT. I hear this song, man. This takes me back, and you were just saying during the break, the reaction you get from the generation of wrestling fans today. It's not just the era that grew up with you, but it's the younger fans that know about what the Hart Foundation did.
Well, the network, the new network where you can watch all the matches back from forever. It does a lot for kids to catch up on which wrestlers and what wrestlers sort of paved the way for the ones that they're watching today. Yeah.
Decades of success you had with your pro wrestling career, and you still say, and I've heard this, and I think it's very powerful, that the greatest victory you had in your life was outside the ring when it comes to stroke recovery. Take us back to the early 2000s of what you faced and what you remember about that challenge.
Well, I had ended my career on a concussion injury, which was a tough enough thing to go through as it was, but about a year and a half after I ended my career, I was riding my bicycle in Calgary, and I hit a pothole or a little bump in the grass, and took a innocent looking tumble off my bicycle, and had a stroke as soon as I touched the ground. As soon as my head touched the grass, I had a total stroke on my left side, and that was the biggest battle I ever had. From that point on, I had a lot of people think I had a minor stroke or a mini stroke, or I had a full-on stroke. I lost everything right down, my whole left side was paralyzed, and I had a real tough time kind of dealing with all that, and I was in a wheelchair for about 3 months. And when I look back on those days, there was so many people that kind of helped put Humpty Dumpty back together again, like the nurses and the people that work within my stroke unit, and a lot of the elderly people that suffered strokes that were in the same sort of ward with me. And there was a lot of young kids that were, there were 17, 18-year-old kids that had strokes. And so I found that their encouragement and sort of that we're all in this together kind of thing, and that recovery that I went through was a real eye-opening experience for me that I never forget, and that's why I'm here today.
The support comes out for you. You're an ambassador for March of Dimes Canada, an important event happening in the city that we'll talk about in a second, but I thought it was interesting following your career and knowing the animosity that can happen in professional wrestling that Vince McMahon, the chairman of the WWE, one of the first people to call you after this happened, and how did that help mend the relationship where you're connected with the league now?
Well, it's a very like I said, it was a very powerful moment for me, because I remember the day that all happened was they had just walked in my room and plugged the phone in. So they're trying to cheer me up, I think, and they said, "Well, we got a phone for you," and I was pretty miserable anyway. It was early in the morning, and they barely plugged the phone in and it rang, and I remember who would call me? Like, no one has my number or anything yet. Anyway, I answered. I hesitated and answered, and it was Vince McMahon. And and he was really gracious, and he gave me a big pep talk. And at a time when I didn't have a whole lot of like for Vince McMahon, and I really did hesitate. And part of me wanted to hang up the phone, and I'm glad that I didn't. I remember I stayed on the phone, and I was very emotional and very, very fragile at that time. But at the same time, I really appreciated that he reached out to me, and he gave me a big pep talk, and told me I was going to get past this thing. And just that sort of little talk, it sort of broke down a big barrier that in the months and years ahead, we kind of smoothed a lot of our differences out.
And then you got to take him down in 2010 at WrestleMania and show him who's boss once again, which is great for the Bret The Hitman Hart fans. Support, obviously, a huge part of the recovery and the message, and we've got some of the highlights of you inside the ring. When you look back at it all and look at how professional wrestling has really evolved, what makes you the most proud of what you were able to accomplish in professional wrestling?
Well, I think that when you watch wrestling today, and there's a lot of really great wrestlers out there today, they're a throwback to my era. They're not a throwback to Hulk Hogan's era, and the wrestlers. I think I brought or helped bring speed and excitement and faster, kind of fast-paced, action-packed wrestling instead of posing and doing this kind of stuff. And when I watch wrestling today, I see they're all remnants of my era. They're the guys that are wrestling today watched Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect. They didn't watch Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy, and it's a much faster, skillful kind of wrestling that I think that I helped bring to the front.
And WrestleMania 31's coming up in about a month's time. Who's the face? Who's the character that you love in professional wrestling that does it justice?
Well, I think Daniel Bryan is the guy that has impressed me the most. He's they seem to be going with somebody else. You know, they've kind of going with another wrestler. But I'm a Daniel Bryan guy. I like guys that are innovators and they're new and skilled. You know, not so much about the looks.
And he helps the sport evolve. Well, listen, we're watching WrestleMania. I know you'll be there with the meet and greet, but you're going to be out at an important event tonight, Dodging for Dimes. There's Dodgeball supporting March of Dimes Canada. Quickly, tell us about this.
There's got some corporate sponsors that are going to battle it out in Dodging for Dimes, and it's a great concept because a lot of times you can take your frustrations out on your boss, you know, that's been maybe trying to ride you at work kind of and give you a hard time. It's like you can hit him with that dodgeball right in the face and make yourself feel good.
That a boy.
And I think there's a lot of aggression that's going to be let out, a lot more than people realize. That it's like a lot of people are chomping at the bit today.
It's very cathartic, Bret. It's very cathartic.
I was a big dodgeball guy as a kid. I loved it.
Yeah. Headband too, and the wristbands?
I have pro dodgeball. No, I never had the wristbands or the sunglasses back then.
Yeah.
Might have helped.
Serious business. Bret Hart's going to be there. We're going to put details on our Facebook page, Creekside Community Center. Bret, thanks so much for coming by.
Okay.
Awesome.